Most people think you need millions of dollars to buy a business. But here's the truth. There are thousands of small businesses out there that are completely undervalued. And if you know what to look for, you can find them. You can buy these in a smart way, build their equity, improve them over time, and build your own wealth much faster than climbing the corporate ladder or starting from scratch. Today, I'm going to show you how to spot an undervalued business and what makes them such a hidden opportunity. Undervalued just means that the price you pay does not match the true potential or current potential of the business. You are getting a good value for not as much money as you should expect to pay. The business might be underperforming, but it's fixable. The business might be sold by somebody that is just done. They just want out. Maybe they have an illness, grandkids, and don't want to spend the time anymore. There can be a variety of reasons where people are willing to let go of their business at less than the current value because they want out. It's important to remember that this price tag should never be more than what the business is worth today, but you do want to consider for yourself the true potential of the business and what you can do for the future. You don't want to pay for that potential. You are paying for what it is today, but you can find real value in that future potential from these undervalued business situations. So, as I just mentioned, why are some of these businesses so undervalued? One of the biggest reasons is owner burnout. They're tired. They've done it for a long time. They're sick of dealing with the cash flow issues, vendors, customers, employees. Any combination or all of the above can be the case. Landlords as well. They are exhausted. They don't want to do it anymore. They might have had a health scare. They might have a health issue. They might have just had a change in their family situation. New grandkids come along. All of a sudden, spending 80 hours a week in their business sounds way less appealing than being at home with the new grandkids and having fun. There can be a lot of different things around owner burnout, but essentially, when they're ready to go, they might not want to nickel and dime and try to maximize the value they're getting. They've had a good life. They've had a good run at the business. They just want to get out quickly. That's where undervalued businesses can be found. Another thing to look for to spot an undervalued business is a really bad online presence. It's 2025. If you don't have a good website, if you don't have a good Google Maps listing, if you don't have decent social media accounts, there's something wrong. And I know you hear from different industries, different people say, social media doesn't matter in my industry, or nobody goes to our website. We don't really need it. Or nobody's coming to our place. We don't need a local listing on Google Maps. But every little bit of online presence is going to help your business in one way or another. Maybe your business isn't an Instagram business, but it should be on LinkedIn. Or maybe it's not the right fit for LinkedIn, but it would crush it on Threads. You need to find those niches, and it doesn't hurt as long as you're posting on some of the social media accounts to spread the wealth. And it doesn't mean that they need to be killing it on every single platform. But if you find a business that has very little activity on social platforms, has a website that looks like it was made in the late 90s, or is not active at all online, that is a great target as an undervalued business. And they're out there. There's still companies out there that have no websites. So it might be harder for us to find these days because that's how we find everything now, but that's why it's undervalued. Because if you can't find it as a potential buyer, that means customers aren't finding it either. So look for those companies that have a bad online presence, whether it's non-existent or just spotty and not living up to its full potential. Another sign of an undervalued business is one where the current owner is the entire business. If that business cannot do anything without the owner, when the owner goes on vacation, the business literally shuts down or does nothing while the owner is out of town, then that is a sign of a great undervalued business because it is over-reliant on one person, and you coming in as a buyer and putting in place systems and processes can drastically improve the value of that business overnight, because now you're putting it into a realm where other buyers might be interested as well. When you're buying a business planning to run it yourself, you can take over that owner's being everything for a period of time, like I did when I bought the wine and liquor store. But then you can work yourself out of it. And now all of a sudden you're an attractive acquisition target for somebody that wants to buy a business but doesn't want to run the day-to-day, because now you have those systems, processes, and people in place to operate the business without relying on the owner. So finding a business where the owner is the business, where they do everything, is another sign of an undervalued business. Another sign of an undervalued business is inefficient systems. So if the business is heavily reliant on sales, on calling customers, on emailing customers, on staying in touch, and they have no CRM, customer relationship management tool, that's an inefficient operation. I've been in talks with a company for months now that I've potentially investing in or buying that does sales on a daily basis, and they have no CRM. They have no way of keeping track of which customers they've talked to, when they should be following up. It's just all in different people's heads, emails and notes in different places. If one of those key salespeople ever leaves, they're going to have a rough time transitioning a new salesperson into that role, because they're not going to know anything about the customers, when they were talked to, what estimates were sent. It's just one example of CRM being an inefficient system or a non-existent system that shows you that business is undervalued. Simply putting in a CRM could increase the value of this business quite a bit, because they will be closing more sales if they're tracking all this information better. Inventory turnovers. If you're looking at their inventory systems and they're not very good, they're not keeping track of how much inventory is turning over, how long they're sitting on inventory. That's another sign of an undervalued business, because they don't even know what their inventory is worth if it's been sitting there for too long. So you can improve those systems and reduce the amount of inventory you're carrying while increasing sales. You'll increase your margins and improve the business overall. When I bought the wine and liquor store, they had no electronic point of sale system. They were using an old-fashioned cash register where you got the bottle of wine, you had to type in $9.99 taxable wine, $12.99 taxable liquor. Very easy for employees to hit the wrong button, whether one that helps the business or one that helps the customer and hurts the business. Also, no way of knowing what products were actually sold on any given day, who was buying them, when they needed to restock certain items, other than by physically seeing that something was gone on the shelves. That was an inefficient system that I was able to improve from day one that added to my bottom line. The last sign of an undervalued business that I would be looking for is poor financial records. If you ask the broker for the financials from the business and it takes them days to get you something, that's already a sign of inefficient financials, poor financials. I don't know why they do it, but brokers sometimes list businesses without even having financials ready to go. How did they even come up with a price tag? We don't know. Ask the seller for financials. You know that there's probably a problem in the financial record keeping system. If you get some financials and they're sporadic and they're not making sense, or it's only very limited information and not much breakdown of expenses, and you ask for a detailed breakdown and they can't provide it, it's also a good sign that they just have poor financial record keeping. Now, this could be a double-edged sword. Things could look better than they actually are because they're not doing a good job, but more likely it's an opportunity that they're not tracking things right. And by monitoring those financials in a better way, you're going to be able to improve the business overall. Poor financial record keeping is another sign of an undervalued business. When you're looking around, those are the biggest signs of an undervalued business. You want to be paying attention to businesses that have been around for a long time. They're staples in your community. Looking for businesses that you hear people talking about all the time, that have a good, loyal customer base, despite maybe not having any or very little marketing or very bad online presence. Because companies like that might say, look at our customers, they love us. We've been here forever and we're doing great. Sure, they might be doing great, but if they invested a little more in marketing and their online presence, they could take that great to awesome. So pay attention in your daily life, looking around at those companies, whether in your professional life or in your personal life, who's been around, who's been doing things with, you never see them advertising, you go to their websites because they're horrible, things like that. So just pay attention to those. Then you find that undervalued business, you buy it. How do you start adding that value immediately? I touched on that as I was breaking down those things to look for. Putting in a modern website. Websites don't cost a fortune anymore. Improving the SEO, the search engine optimization, and starting to look heavily into how AI is looking at your websites and how you can be answering questions from your website into these AI models, because that's where a lot of search is going these days. Running some Google and Facebook ads, just experimenting, depending on the type of business you are. Doesn't cost a fortune to run a few ads here and there and see what might work, what doesn't. Setting up those systems, CRMs, scheduling systems, calendar systems, inventory systems, bookkeeping systems, making sure that all those systems are on point will help improve the value immediately. Even if it's not adding money to your bottom line, it is adding equity and value to your business because you are becoming more attractive to other buyers. Your pool of potential buyers expands when you have good systems and processes in place. There are a lot more people interested in buying businesses when there are already systems in place. Hiring and training new people or key people, bringing current employees up to your standards right away. Improving signage, branding, things that help improve a business's image overall. As I touched on throughout this video, when I purchased my wine and liquor store, it was undervalued in the sense that I had room to grow. It was priced slightly below where it should have been for the day and time that I bought it, but it was definitely undervalued compared to the potential and growth I knew I could attain very quickly and easily with just some very modest minor tweaks, such as adding a point of sale system, setting up some better bookkeeping, social media. Adding those things brought in a lot more customers. Even though the store had been there for 40 plus years, I was still getting people in the store that didn't know we existed and lived less than a mile away. I added signage. A couple of years in, I was able to get a variance from the town to put up a better sign. I had somebody stop in the store that had been driving by every day for years who didn't know the store was there. Little tweaks can add a lot, as I did with my purchase. So keep an eye out for those undervalued businesses. If you've been hunting for a business, let me know what signs of being undervalued you've been looking for. I'd love to hear if you have anything different or new to add, or if any of these particular things jumped out at you as being something you've seen in the past and now you might circle back to. Look forward to hearing from you. And until then, I will see you soon. Cheers.